And sometimes your previous victories you need to shed. Not the good things of the past, but licking your wounds of the past or preoccupying yourself about the good old days. The good old days are just that, good and old. What guilt from your past do you need to shed? That abortion, that job that you were fired from, that failed marriage. How do you move past this? Ladies and gentlemen, you can learn from the past. How many know you can't live in the past? Look at your neighbor and say, I will be a deliberate forgetter. Listen, if your eyes and heart are turned in the wrong direction and you don't deliberately forget, you will give place to the devil and confuse your soul and allow him to place you in a cage of your own making. If Paul, think about this, if Paul lived in the past, we would not have the message of salvation by grace and justification by faith. None of you all, including me, would be saved. The rear view mirror is for glancing, not gazing. If you fix your eyes on the rear view mirror long enough, you will crash. Stop rehearsing on what's in the past. I'm closing. Note the mental that's tied to the physical. Forgetting is mental. Reaching, pressing is physical. You can't move physically if your mind is in the past. So God says, when you release the baggage, I will release your blessings. Release speaks to allowing God's favor to flow and move freely into your life. Yes, there are things to shed, things that inhibit. Shed means to cast off, like the butterfly that sheds the cocoon. That skin of that cocoon was good for a season, but how many know that season is over? Now we must cast it off because it is no longer useful. It is no longer beneficial. Ladies and gentlemen, even the snake rids himself of the skin. And not just physical things. I'm closing. Often we must shed non-physical things like bad habits. Hebrews calls it the weights and the sin that so easily entangles us. Say, lose the baggage. It's a continuous motion. Forget and press. Forget and press. Say, forget and press. In fact, the best way to forget is to press. I don't have time to waste on what's weighing me down. An anchor can be good and bad. You must know its season. What do you mean? An anchor is used to keep the ship from moving in the season. That's good. But not when the ship wants to sail. What season are you in? Some people in your life or want to be in your life will keep you from moving, will keep you from sailing. You got to know the season. They're keeping you from being what God called you to be. Know the season. It's time to shed the weight. God, I wish I had more time. Leviticus 26:10 speaks clearly about the old grain to make room for the new harvest. Listen, your obstacle course is faith and service. And then he'll release his blessings. Faith in action. Faith moves. Faith moves us to serve because we follow the way of the master. He said it's more blessed to give than it is to receive. That positions us for favor. But note that you're not pressing for favor. When you have faith and serve, the favor will press you. It'll overtake you. My God. Say release, release. God has the supply. An abundant supply. That's looking for needs. I'm so grateful for the people of this church, for our youth ministry that's focusing on purpose and value and identity for our young people. See, that's where you need to be. Some of you all need to roll up your sleeves and think about why these children are jacked up and messed up. You can talk about them until you're blue in the face, but what are you going to do? How are you willing to roll up your sleeves and teach them the very things that you know that they don't have? Look at the result of God's favor. He said, I'll bless you so much with a surplus of crops that you have to clear out the old grain to make room for the harvest. And what made it possible? Because you're obedient, because you have faith in my word, that you walk in the word and you serve and you see the fruitfulness of your loins, because it's no longer about you alone. So God says, press on.